Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Tuesday, the 5th of November. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which has managed to find support back above the old September-October support area, 81.60.70. Done that 2 days in a row. We've also bounced above the floor of that, or at the floor of that rising trend channel from this time last year. And that came after the bounce off the 200-day line around 80.70. RSI still below neutral 50 at 46, so that still means that we've got a chance of maybe failing at the 50-day line 82.70 and then having another test of the 200-day moving average. Otherwise, it's up to the post-summer resistance at 8400 at the moment, hopefully sometime later this month. Moving on to the DAX, and here the picture, I suppose, also of a market trying to regroup after the sell-off that we saw at the end of last month, bouncing off the, or above the 50-day line there at 19,000, and above that looking for a retest of the best levels ever towards 19,700. RSI on the wrong side of neutral 50 at 48, so maybe a bit more consolidation is required, and potentially a test of that price channel floor there from this time last year, 18,900. Moving on to the Dow, which obviously has its special day today with the US elections. There's also already been a bit of a pullback from the best levels, the record levels at the top of that rising trend channel from this time last year. Current situation is that below the 50-day line, around 42,000, there is the risk of a test of the floor of the channel there, 40,400 if something horrible happens, otherwise probably closer to 41,400. Which was basically July and August resistance, now hopefully becoming support. RSI has failed again at the neutral 50 level, so that does suggest that we've got at least 1 or 2 days of support testing later in the week. Moving along to Bitcoin, and here this is also a market that's cooled off, just waiting for the presidential results. Apparently, uptrend line there from September, that's running through 67,500, and we're looking for that to hold and for a move up to record levels at 75,000, hopefully later this month. Downside at the moment, hopefully limited to the 50-day line, 65,400, and it was good to see the RSI bounce off neutral 50, which could be a sign that we are ready to head to 75,000. On to gold, and here picture rather stagnant. We've got that rising trend channel there from the end of June. Floor of the channel there around 27.20, and above that we're looking for the top of the channel 28.40, perhaps as soon as the end of this month. Moving on to the stocks, and the big winner of the day so far is Aferian, and here you can see that we've had actually a gap through the 50-day line before today's big announcement, so maybe 1 or 2 people successfully guessed that it would be good news, or taken as good news, which is great for them. The 200-day line there at around 6.4 pence, that's the initial target, and I suppose after that we'd be looking for the bottom of the gap down there from April, just shy of 10 pence by the end of this month. The overall pattern, though, a Bear Trap Island reversal, which is one of the strongest patterns around, hence the double gap higher that we've had coming up. And hopefully we'll stay above the old resistance on the way down around 5 pence on an end of day close basis. Whatever happens, ideally, we don't go back below the top of the latest gap at 4 pence. Moving along to Bushveld, and here you can see that we've gingerly recovered. Now we're back above the 50-day line, and we're looking for the 200-day moving average area between 0.8 and 0.85. Perhaps by the end of the year. Ideally, we stay above that 50-day line, 0.45. On to Corcel, which has had a lot of coverage here of late, and you can see why from the daily chart. We managed to hit our initial target there at the top of the triangle around 0.2 a couple of times, and now looking for as high as 0.4 pence by the end of the year, which would take the shares through the 200-day moving average. Quite a punchy call there, but it's quite a punchy chart, especially while there's no break back below the late October resistance there at 0.19, so above 0.19, looking for the shares to head to 0.4. On to Clontarf, which wasn't that keen on looking at, but couldn't resist the breakout of that falling wedge there, the level there around 0.04, above that looking for the 50-day moving average around 0.05.5, and we're backed by multiple RSI bounces off an uptrend line there from September. So let's see if that does the trick for the shares, because obviously looking at the chart, there doesn't seem to be anything, or at least the price action doesn't seem to be anything special there. It is all in the multi-tested RSI uptrend line. Moving on to ECR Minerals, which is finally pushed higher, but no doubt helped by the brilliant broadcast that we did in weekend markets on Friday. And here we have been looking for 0.43, and hopefully we'll get that over the next couple of sessions, maybe by the end of the week. The other points to note is that we've had triple bounce for the RSI above neutral 50. We had an unfilled gap to the upside in October. 50 and 200-day lines both rising, and then another gap to start this week, all of which suggests that this is the definitive turnaround for the shares, and so far we may be, well, it looks as though we're getting that, but 0.43, the initial target, and hopefully we can get much more than that while we're above the mid-October resistance at 0.34. On to EQTech, which had a decent announcement today, and maybe enough to start moving the share price as well. Here you can see that we've been in this falling trend channel since May. Unfilled gap to the upside today after a sideways shuffle along the lows. Ideally, we stay above the floor of the channel there, 0.65. Above that, we could get up to maybe, initially the 50-day line at 0.9 pence, hopefully during the course of November. Moving on to Global Petroleum, which gets almost daily coverage here, but I'm not quite sure why, but one of the answers might be that the shares have bounced off a rising 50-day line. We've got the RSI now back above neutral 50. Want to see an end-of-day close back above the old target there, 0.22, to give us a fresh target, 0.28, which was one of our a following target on from that. Itaconix is next, and here the company had an update today, and it would appear that people also successfully guessed, like Aferian, that it would be good news today. It's brilliant how that happens, really. The old support there, April, May, was around £1.27, and we're looking for up to £1.80 by the end of the year. Everything goes right. Otherwise, just looking for the 200-day line as a modest target, £1.55 over the course of November. But a great bear trap gap reversal there on the Itaconix chart. Invinity is next, and it's been a slow rebound for the shares. They've now hit the initial target here. I suppose the initial target, it was the 50-day line there at 12 pence, but the second target there, around 18.6 pence. Above that, looking for not only the 200-day line at 20, but up to as high as 28 pence by the end of this month, while there's no breakback below the floor of the old gap there at 16 pence. Above 16, looking for 28 on Invinity. Moving on to Ondine, which has delivered yet another fundraise and has stayed firm. It's always interesting when a stock stays firm after a fundraise. The initial target here was the top of that red rising trend channel at 9.5 pence, and we're looking for that over the next few days, and then hopefully by the end of this month, perhaps, up to 13 pence, the upper parallel of that rising trend channel base. Petromatrix is next. Been rather frustrating because it keeps on failing below the 200-day line there at 3.1 pence. So hopefully that will at least be the target over the next week or two while we're above the 50-day line at 2.4 pence. And hopefully one day we'll see the shares actually go up to the top of the range, 4.5 pence. So let's see if that can be done by the end of the year. Tissue Regenix is next, and here we've got a decent setup there with a high and low for October versus the start of the year, and then pushing through a rising 200-day moving average at 62 pence today. Above that, we're looking for the top of the broadening triangle at 77 pence as soon as the end of this month. What would be nice to see is we get the 50-day line starting to rise as well, which hopefully it will do tomorrow, and that will mean that we're in the run-up to a golden cross, which tends to be the strongest part in the cycle. Finishing off with Touchstone Exploration, and here gapping up off the lows with a rising 50-day line. I think if we look closely, it's the second gap higher in a row, so very excited about this one, at least from a technical perspective. Initial target here, the old support there from January, February, around 40 pence, and then above that, the next level, there's not really much on the chart there, between 40 and 50, which hopefully we could get by the end of this month, while we remain above the floor of the gap there at 33 pence. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.